Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, you're welcome. Please hit the subscribe button to join the family. And if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for stopping by. Some weeks back, I posted the picture of the dress displaying on the screen on my community page. I got few requests from my subscribers to make a tutorial on the dress. So, this is the outcome of what I recreated. Please make sure you watch till the end so that you won't miss any important information. Alright? Okay, I have this crepe fabric that I'll be using for the sake of this tutorial. It's a non-stretchy fabric and it has a very thick texture. Please, if you're buying your fabric, make sure it's very thick. Alright? Okay, I'll be using this pattern paper to illustrate how to cut this style. Please, you put your pattern paper on fold because of the kind of style that we are making. And I've gone ahead to mark my lines from my shoulder to my chest line is 9 inches, from my shoulder to my bust point is 10.5, and my half length is 17 inches. And I'll also input half of my shoulder width, which is 8 inches. The neck width I'm working with is 4.5, so I will mark my neck width here. I will mark 3 inches for the neck depth. We are still going to alter this neckline to get the asymmetric neckline. So I will make a square now so that I can curve the neckline. After curving the neckline, the next thing I will do now is to come down by 1 inch on the shoulder to mark my shoulder slant. After marking my shoulder slant, I will divide my chest line by 2, which is 4.5. On the middle point, I will come in by 0.75 to enable me to curve my armhole. I'll just make a straight line. I will divide my round bust by 2. I'll add 1 inch for sewing allowance. And I will curve my armhole the way you see me doing. After that, the next thing I will do now is to divide my round waist by 4. I have 10 inches. I'll mark 1 inch for that intake and I'll mark 1 inch for sewing allowance and I will connect it. The next thing I'll be doing now is to mark my dart. Marking your dart on this pattern paper is not really necessary for this kind of style. You can do it directly on your fabric. For the sake of beginners, I'll show you how to do that. So I mark my nipple to nipple point, which is 4.5. I will make a straight line up to my bust point just to connect the line. Can you see? The next thing I'll be doing now is to take half inch on the both that leg for my dart intake. That's the reason I replaced the 1 inch for allowance. After that, I came down by half inch from my bust point and I connected the way you see me doing. Can you see what I have? I'm done with the marking. The next thing I'll be doing now is to cut it out so that we can alter the neckline. After cutting it out, I will place it on a fresh pattern and cut another one. I want to duplicate this pattern, so after that I will be cutting my back part. This is my back part. I have 1.5 inches for my zipper allowance. I've marked my lines the same thing I did when I was drafting the front part, so I will still mark the neck width of 4.5 inches. I started from the line for my zipper allowance. I'll mark 2 inches for the neck depth. This is for the back and I will connect it. For the shoulder slope, I will come down by half inch. That's just the difference. Mark half inch. So I will still divide my chest line by 2. On the midpoint, I'll come in by half inch. For the front, I came in by 0.75. For the back, you come in by half inch. After that, you now draw your armhole. After drawing my armhole, the next thing now is to extend this my neckline to the zipper allowance before I can cut it out. Can you see what I have? So you can fold it in. After folding it in, I will cut it out. I did not add my dart here. I will be doing it on the fabric. So the next thing now is to remove the zipper bulge. As you can see, I've marked out half inch for my zipper bulge so that if I fix my zip, it can relax very well. So you take out your zipper bulge. So can you see what I have? I have duplicated the front part. The reason why I duplicated it is because of the cape on the neckline. So we'll get to that as this video progresses. So this is my front part. The next thing is to determine where I want my asymmetric neckline to be. For me, I want it to be at the left hand. So I will write left and right so that I will not get confused. After that, I will extend my lines and I will mark my that to the other side. This is optional. Alright. So the next thing now is to mark my asymmetric neckline. For that, I will come in by 2 inches from my neck width. Can you see what I'm doing? After that, I will mark the depth. I use 6 inches. I don't really know whether it will be too low, but I will just go with 6 inches. This is just a tutorial. From the outcome of my own dress, you can decide to use any length or width that will work for you. So from there now, I will curve it. Can you see what I'm doing? Just connect it this way. This is how you will curve the neckline. After that, I will trim it out. So the next thing now is to cut it out. After cutting it out, this is what you should be having. Can you see? I'll just measure this side now for you to see what we have here. Okay, I have 5 inches. This side is 6 inches. Okay, I'll bring in my duplicated one. Okay, when you are drafting yours, you can place 2 of them together to cut out the neck style. What you just need to do is to place 2 of them together. Use your pin to hold it and trace the neck style together. I did this separately because of the beginners here so that you won't get confused. After cutting it out, this is what you have. So I will keep one aside and I'll work on this one. I want to show you how you can get the cape. So from the neck width, I will come in by 2.5, and for the length of the cape, I mark 14.5. I want it to terminate on my under bust. So I mark 14, add half inch for sewing allowance. And from that 2 inches, I will slant it. You can slant it to terminate on the middle point, but I don't want that. For this side, I will be cutting it out. I'll just curve it to the armhole. So I'll use my ruler now to blend it to the armhole. From here now, I will make a triangular shape. Can you see how I place my ruler? The space I have on the armhole side is 1 inch. When I measured it, that's what you have. Okay, I will just confirm what I have here. Can you see it's 1 inch? So the next thing now is to cut it out. Okay, I'll bring my front pattern now to show you what it will look like. Can you see it's coming out already? So I will place it on my fabric and add my necessary sewing allowance to cut it out. I will do that off camera and I will still show you. The next thing I'll do now is to show you how I cut the lower part. The first thing I will do is to mark quarter of my round waist, which is 10. I will add 1 inch for that intake and 1 inch for sewing allowance. From my waistline, I will mark 10 inch for my hip depth. This is where I will be marking my round hip measurement. So if I divide my round hip by 4, I have 12 inches. I'll add 1 inch for sewing allowance and I will curve it. From my waistline, I will mark 19 inches for my both knee measurement. This line is where I will be marking my round knee measurement. To get my full length, I will minus the half length, which is 17 inches. Can you see how I place the 17 inches on the starting point to get the full length of the gown, which is 42 inches. I added 1 inch for hemming allowance. To mark my round knee measurement, I will be deducting 8 inches from my actual hip measurement. Whatever I got, I will divide it by 4 and I will add my sewing allowance. After that, I will roll it straight down. So the next thing now is to mark my dart length, which is 8 inches. So I will be marking 4.5 inches for my nipple to nipple measurement. After that, I'll be taking half inch on the both dart leg. I'll connect it this way. After that, I will come down by 1 inch from the folded edge so as to remove the excess folding on the front. Can you see the way I slanted it to the side? So the next thing I will do now is to cut it out. After cutting it out, I will notch my dart because I'll be doing the same thing on the other side. You notch it so that it will guide you when you want to take the dart for the other side. Can you see the notch part on the other side? The next thing I will do now is to fold another fabric so that I can place the front part and cut out my back. This is just a normal skate block. I did not use that less method, so I placed the 1 inch I took off and I placed my zipper allowance, which is 1.5. And you see I've extended my dart line. You can notch it, just make a little cut there. So the next thing now is to remove the zipper bulge for the back. So I'll also take half inch, the same way I did on the upper part for the back. I'll connect it to my hip. Can you see what I'm doing? So on the knee, I'll also remove half inch this way. I'll connect it. After connecting it, I will now roll it straight down to the hem, the way you see me doing. Alright, so the next thing now is to cut it out. If you are watched up to this length and you find my video interesting, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell for more videos, and also give this video a thumbs up. So from here now, I will notch my zipper allowance to indicate it. I also notch my dart legs for the back so that when I'm sewing it, it will guide me. So the next thing now is to show you how I transfer the front part to the fabric. I added my sewing allowance round the neck, added my sewing allowance that I'll use to join with the lower part, and I added sewing allowance on the armhole side. I've already added my side seam sewing allowance on the pattern when I was drafting. I will cut it out now. I'll also do the same thing on the back part. This is my back part. I added my half inch on the neck side. You see, so the next thing now is to cut the facing for the back. I didn't know my camera was not recorded when I folded my fabric into two. You just place your back part on the folded fabric and you trace out the neckline, trace out the shoulder, and you determine the length of the facing. Just cut it out. I will slash it open because of the zipper allowance. I want to sew it. I will place it like this and I will stitch it. When I sew it, I will show you. So I will also cut out the cape. And you see I added half inch sewing allowance round all around the cape. When I wanted to cut the cape, I folded my fabric into two because I want to use the same fabric to turn the cape. So the next thing now, I place it on the neckline and I measure where the asymmetric neckline stopped. It's 13 inches. I marked it. You write it to indicate it so that when we are attaching the cape, you know where you stop your stitches. If you want to use facing for the front part, you can as well cut your facing. It's not hard. I will not be using facing for mine, so I'll go to my sewing machine now and sew my darts. I will stop 1 inch below my bust point. I will do the same thing for the back part. After sewing it, I will also do the same thing for the skirt part. Please, when you're sewing your dart, make sure that the upper part and the lower of the dart will align. You place it and take your dart. Make sure that it aligns. That's why I notch it to make the work easier. You follow the notch part and stitch. So I will now go and sew it off camera and I'll come back and show you. Can you see what I have? I've already sewn it. This is my upper part. If I place it now, can you see that the dart is matching? It matches, so you carefully sew your dart so that it will match. That's all. I've also done the same thing for the back part. Can you see that it's matching? The next thing now is to cut the style on the skirt parts. I don't know what to cut the style, but just follow what I'm doing. The style is only on the front part. If you draft your skirt on a pattern, what you just need to do is to fold your pattern like this, and you determine the length. You can use the length of your dart or the length of your hip. For me, I will use a fresh pattern and I will use the length of 8.5. I will mark quarter of my round waist here. That's 10 inches. I'll add my sewing allowance. On the length, I will mark quarter of my round hip. That's 12. I'll add my sewing allowance. I'll connect it. Can you see the hip curve there? So I will rule out my length. The center front, I will come down by 1 inch. The same thing I did when I was drafting the front part. I will slant it to the side. After that, I will now cut it out. After I was done cutting it out, I will now give it that curve. From the length, I will mark 1 inch. That's where the curve will start. I will curve it. I will use my pattern master now as a guide to curve it. The line is not straight, it's curved. I will indicate the side. I will notch the upper side so that you will not get confused. Notch it. After trimming it out, I'll place it on my front now for you to get the clearer view of what I'm doing. Can you see what I have? I'll just open it up a little. The next thing now is to transfer it to my fabric. But remember that we are cutting out two for each. So I will write cut 2. Also write cut 2 for the other side. That is, we are cutting out 4. Can you see I added ½ inch on the upper side and on the side. So I will be stitching it this way. That's where I will be stitching it. Can you see? I've stitched it already. This is my cape. I iron my soft gum stay on it before I stitch it to give it a little strength. So I stitch it this way. This is the style. I've already stitched it. I will notch it now, both for the cape and the one that I will attach on the skirt part. I will open, press it and iron very well. This. So after that, I will turn it inside out. If you have any question, please let me know on the comment section. So after that, you iron it very well. This is my back part. I've attached my facing for the back part. You iron it very well. Can you see the one that I will attach on my skirt? So I will spread my skirt out now and place it for you to see what I'm doing. If you notch your waistline, you won't get confused when you're placing it on the skirt. Before you place it on the skirt part, make sure you stitch the waistline down and the side front down. Can you see? Okay, I'll bring my upper part now. After stitching it down, you attach your upper part, but make sure that the dart line is matching when you are pinning it. You pin it before you sew. I'll do the same thing for the back part. So I've already attached my zip on the back. Can you see what I have? I believe that most of us can attach zip. So this is what I have for the back. And this is what I have for the front when I was done joining the lower and upper part together. Can you see what I have for the lower part? So I will stitch it down now so that it will not be flipping up. Can you see that my dart line is matching? For the cape, there are so many ways you can place it. You can just place it this way and use your facing to turn it. I think that is better, but I will show you how I did mine. I placed it from the wrong side. I saw it with I'll stop my stitches on that 13 inches. So I've sewn it. Can you see? So I will notch it round. After notching it, I will just make a little cut on that 13 inches where I stop my stitches. I will turn it to the right side. The notching will help the cape to relax very well when you turn it to the right side. So for this part, what I will do is just to fold it a little and stitch it down. I'll stitch it down. So for this shoulder part now, I will fold it also, and I'll use my hemming gum to iron it down. Mustn't use this my method. You can cut your facing and turn it. I think that will be better for you as a beginner. So I will stitch it down now. When I'm fitting my sleeve, I will conceal this sharp point. Can you see I've ironed my hemming gum on it? This is what I have. This is my hemming gum. I use it to press it down. So the next thing now I'll be doing is to iron it. After ironing it, I will shape it. I will shape the both sides. Just turn your shoulder first. Before you turn your shoulder, make sure you stitch this part down. Stitch it down so that you can turn it with the shoulder. I've done that. I'll go ahead now and shape the side. I'll do that off camera. After shaping it, I'll come back and show you what you have. Can you see? This is the outcome of everything. If you find my video helpful, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Turn on your notification bell for more videos. So I'll go ahead now and attach my sleeve. Before you attach your sleeve, make sure you trim it so that the front and back will be the same thing. Thanks for watching.